Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are listening to the Palmdale School District Teachers EdTech podcast. I'm Steve Stuckey, one of the instructional coaches here again with the co-host of this podcast, Dan Hopman.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you guys might be. Hopefully after week 2 of seeing your students, you're a little bit more refreshed hitting this Friday than you were last Friday.
Well, we've got a lot of things to cover on this show. We've got a message from a couple gentlemen special to the Palmdale School District. We have some good things to hear from teachers who have recorded themselves so we can put them into the podcast. And we've got some other tips and tricks for, say, Google Classroom, some upcoming PDs, and so on. But you know, this last week on Facebook, one of the things I follow is a group called Board Teachers. And they put out some funny stuff sometimes. But they also can put out some serious things as well. And one of the things they said, and I'm quoting them, they're saying, we're teaching online for the first time, grading assignments, being available individually for students, and answering parent calls and emails at all hours. And somehow we're expected to virtually attend even more staff meetings than we had before. We're also still expected to continue with professional development hours, training, reports, and so on. Most teachers recognize kids are dealing with a lot right now and are making necessary accommodations to the workload. But few teachers are receiving the same grace. And I know that in our district, if you don't feel you're receiving that same grace, you're probably overthinking it, and you're probably putting too much on the kids and planning too much. And you need to start setting some boundaries, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of the teachers, at least the ones I've talked to, I know, a lot of the teachers we talked to kind of blend together. It seems that, and we talked about this last week, that they're trying to hit that same 7-step lesson plan, making sure that, the kids are paying attention, and it's a new time, people. It really is. And at least for the next few months, we need to make sure that we are looking at the whole student and not a group of students all at once.
And there's no way you're going to get out of professional development at this time. You're either going to do it by listening to others like us, or you're going to be Googling it and learning from others out there on the internet. But that development is happening all over the place, and that is a good thing that we are seeing.
And it's great that you guys are asking for help. I mean, I can speak for myself and probably for Steve as well. Being as busy as we have been, helping you guys, for us has been the highlight. I mean, this is what we've been trained to do. And
I don't like sitting in my seat all day long, though.
That is the downside. I wish I had my standing desk with me while I was at home. But
I might go sneak into the office and take it.
There you go. I think that's a good idea. But we appreciate the help that we can give. We appreciate the thank yous that you're giving. We appreciate you guys. And so keep that in mind. The same grace we're showing you guys, continue to show that same grace to your kids as well.
And to each other. And to each other,
absolutely.
Earlier today, we were able to carve out about 15 minutes and do a Zoom interview with Raul Maldonado, our superintendent, and board president, Dennis Trujillo. And we'd like you to listen to that now. Dan and I are here with Raul Maldonado, superintendent of Palmdale School District, and Dennis Trujillo, the president of the board of trustees. And it's great to be able to check in with you guys today. And we just have a couple questions that we'd like to hear from you. First of all, how are you guys doing?
Well, first of all, thank you both, Steve and Dan. I think your service with the podcast is a very important service as we continue the online learning, right? Because in many ways, we had implemented a lot of technology, and what happened is if you don't use it, you forget about it. But it's been an opportunity that I see for all of us to get online and learn how to use the equipment and use the software and the programs. And so I'm doing well. I mean, it's been busy, but on the other hand, I see this as an opportunity for us to learn and to build relationships, even if it's via the computer. But again, I want to thank you both, and I want to thank all of our great leaders in our school district, including both of you, that have been really helping our community and our teachers and our students make that switch, because I think we would agree, nobody signed on to do this. When we signed on to be teachers, we were passionate about being in front of kids and talking to kids and the parents and to our community and our colleagues. But this is a challenge that we're all faced with. But again, my message today is about flexibility and relaxing. We all need to relax. Like we stated before, under our program, we didn't have this as a course, right? How to do this online. So we're learning as we go. And I just want to send a message that we need to relax. And so I have my board president with me. How you doing, Dennis?
Good. I just want to add that I'm just so proud of seeing all the work that the employees are doing here at the Palmdale School District. And I wasn't scheduled to be on this, but Raul said, I'm going to be on the podcast. I said, I heard that 2 weeks ago that Steve and Dan were doing one. And I listened to it. It was great. I really want to thank Dan and Steve for doing this. That's why I said I would stick around and go with this. But thank you.
Hey, our pleasure. I just was curious, what are some good things you guys have been seeing and hearing as you guys have been going through this with us?
Well, I can tell you that for my experience, I've seen a lot of great leaders in our community, and great leaders will usually step up to the plate and continue to work for our children and our teachers and our classified staff. But again, I want to thank all the individuals out in the community who are now connecting with students, with families. And there's a couple of things I want to celebrate. I've been busy trying to organize our school district in the office. I've been sending out a few messages. I'd like to do more. But again, we have a limited amount of employees at the moment. But I want to celebrate a couple of things that I've seen. So for instance, I've seen a lot of passionate teachers, thank you, go into the communities, whether it's a parade. I personally had an opportunity to participate in the parade at Tumbleweed. We had a lot of great people involved in honking their horns, reaching out to the students, reaching out to the parents. And we have some very courageous leaders that were involved in the parade, and really did touch my heart, because I was driving the Palmdale Promise van in the community, and we had our SROs, we had a lot of kids out on the parade lineup. We had a lot of kids waiting for their teachers to say hello, but I saw two students crying for their teachers. Then that shows you how much they miss us. They miss their classmates, they miss their schools, they miss their teachers, they miss their normal day, right? Get up in the morning, have breakfast, go to school, then come back home. So it really did touch my heart to see the students crying. And I'll tell you, the passionate teachers, the teachers that were reaching out to the students with their signs, and the positive culture that we build, I don't believe anybody else in our community is doing this. But the community came out when they heard all the honking, right? All the signs. We had people that didn't even have kids in their schools saying, hey, look, those are our teachers, those are our teachers. It was great. So I want to celebrate that. I've seen many schools do the same thing. I know that some other schools are planning on doing it this coming few weeks. If I have time, I'd love to be involved. I'd like to come out and say hello. We have to follow the rules, of course. We have to follow the state guidelines, the county guidelines. But I just want to highlight that we have some very passionate employees. We have some very passionate administrators. And again, this is temporary, but we have to have a clear understanding that it'll be over one day. And our process, making sure the kids are continuing to learn online, has to be there. So I want to thank everybody. I mean, that's a long celebration. I have one more, but Board President, what do you have in your mind as far as the celebration?
I'm just happy to see all the collaborations going on between the teachers, the IT staff, between teachers and the principals, all trying to put up new procedures that we've never had to deal with before. And I think they're going pretty smooth. There's a lot of bumps, but it's going pretty smooth. So that's one of the things I'm happy to see right now. And when Raul has to call us and says, the cabinet just came up with this idea, and usually it's a great idea, we say, good, go with it. So we're getting a lot of communication from Raul because he's got to make a lot of changes, and most of them are great changes. So that's what I've seen.
This is a great opportunity for everybody to start thinking outside the box a little bit and not doing things the way we've always done it.
Yes. One of the things you mentioned on the podcast that I heard is we're just trying to get through this. Just everybody do the best they can. That's what we're hoping for. If everybody's trying to help the kids, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Just try to help the kids as best you can.
Right. So again, I commend both of you for putting this together and trying to reach out to the community. Again, I want to tell everybody that as we get through this, we have to continue reminding ourselves to keep the safe distance, to ensure that we're washing our hands and really taking care of ourselves, because that is the number one priority. Even though it's going to be hard for us to stay indoors because it's 75 outside and we all want to get out there and continue with our normal lives, right now we just need to put it on pause and recognize the fact that we need to stop the spread of the virus. But that doesn't mean we slow down. We continue working for kids in our community and building those relationships, because again, it's about that passion that we all have inside of us as teachers. You know, we work with people, and that's something that we need to keep in mind. Are you ready for the second celebration? Because this one would be shorter.
All right. Yes, go for it.
All right. So yesterday I had the pleasure of going out to Tamara's and serving meals. And so it was a great way for the community to see us out in the community. But I'll tell you, I want to thank our child nutrition folks and our managers, because they're feeding every single day over 10,000 meals per day. And so that's a lot of meals. And we have approximately 10 sites now that are operating in the city. And they're handing out food that otherwise would not be available for our children. And that is very important, that we continue to make that connection with our kids, our schools, and we're very passionate about it. So we had Scott Wilk, our senator. We also had Tom Lackey join us, our assemblyman. But most important, our staff from our kitchens, they know the routine. And I'm talking to them, and I want to thank them for providing this outstanding service to our community, because that's the connection I want to continue making with our staff. And our SROs have also been very fantastic about coming out and helping organize these lines. But it was great to see a lot of the parents thanking us and appreciating the fact that they're getting a meal. So that was great.
So
there's no.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Steve. I was just going to say that the fun of Zoom. I have a lot of friends who have their kids in the school district, and they've been very appreciative of the lunches and the breakfasts, because a lot of those parents, they depend on paychecks coming in, and they're not getting those right now. So I know they've been very appreciative and very happy to be able to pass on that message as well.
So we know that your time is valuable. I'm sure Dan has a meeting coming up at 10 o'clock. I know I have, or at 11 o'clock, excuse me. I know that I do for sure. So I know teachers are feeling some of the stress. I know the classifieds feeling some stress. There's no doubt board members are feeling some stress, as well as all of the admin too. But is there a quick message you can give to all of us, admin, classified, certificated, that you'd want to share with them?
Absolutely. I guess my message today, first of all, is I want everybody to be well and to be safe, first of all. Second of all, we need to remember that we are a public service, and so we have to be able to provide a service. And so I appreciate your patience. If you're learning how to use all the online tools, connecting with families, and if it doesn't go well the first time, no big deal. We're all learning how to do this. So my message is, everybody, please relax. There's a lot of flexibility right now. Don't get frustrated if you don't know how to use the equipment or the programs. We have a lot of support. We have Steve, Dan, we have Christine, we have our techs. Reach out. This is the time to build those relationships. Don't be frustrated. Make sure that as you continue this process, you have a clear understanding that you will get better. We will get better, all of us. Just when we come up with a plan, the guidelines change. And so we have to continuously readapt our plan because nobody can claim they're the experts at doing this. There's a whole bunch of school districts in the state of California. We're all having the same issues. So again, my message is take care of yourselves, reach out to the students. If we don't get it right the first time, keep learning. We're all going to continue learning. Relax, be flexible, take care of yourselves, and we will get through this. We'll get to a point where we can come back and say, oh my God, we made it through. That's great. We learned a lot. Let's move on, but see it as an opportunity. This is an opportunity for all of us to learn something new. So again, be well, be safe, and Board President.
I just want to echo the same thing Mr. Maldonado was saying. We have close to 3,000 employees in the district. If there's something you don't know, reach out to one of them right now. They have time. They can help you. And then when we come back to work, you'll have made a new friend. You'll have somebody to support you. So just get through this as best we can.
Again, to both of you, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure to be on your program. I want to say hello to everybody out there. Que estén bien, que Dios los cuide. Be safe, be well, and again, stay tuned because there's more coming your way as far as updates, collaboration, support, building relationships. Very, very important.
Well, gentlemen, we thank you for joining us and spending this little bit of time between all of our other duties that we need to do in supporting our teachers and other staff members. We will see you down the road, hopefully shake your hands in a couple months.
We look forward to that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you.
We ended off with some good things with Raul and Dennis. And speaking of good things, we actually sent out a flip grid. You know, it was kind of sneaky on our part. We wanted to send out Flipgrid so you all could see how easy it is to use Flipgrid, at least from a student side, and submit a response in a video format. So some of you did send in some responses of your good things that you have seen happening here in the district as you are moving towards this whole remote learning process. So one of those teachers, Teresa Anaya, I had the pleasure of working with quite a few years ago, back when we taught 5th grade at Mesquite, and she seems to have really reflected on her practices.
I am loving what this has forced me to do, being quarantined and having to be online with students and not being there to hand them assignments and to make sure they're doing what they need to do, because I have to think about, as a teacher, what am I going to do to get them online and capture their attention? And so I've had to be creative in that. And I have had to really search into getting them thinking about what they want to learn about. And so I've started creating opportunities for them and leaving things a little bit open for them. And I've given them resources to explore their own learning, to explore their own passions. I've been sharing my passions with them. And through that, I've got a couple of students who have shared with me Lego buildings that they were building, seeds that they're planting, and things that they're growing. They've created drawings and models and documents and added to slide presentations in ways that I never would have thought of. And so for some of them, they're going beyond, and not all of them. I'm still having trouble with getting some of them on there, but I think as we do this as teachers, and the more that they understand that this is okay, that they explore their passions, that they are taking control of their own learning, and that they can learn without me in the room, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for them to understand that. And then as for me, I'm learning that a lot too, what I need to do as a teacher to capture that.
I think that's some great ideas from Teresa and a great epiphany that she had. We also heard from Melissa Shields, who's one of our co-EdTech coaches with us. And she talks about how the teachers how they are making connections.
So how they're making connections with their students. Dan's audio cut out.
Hi, Dan and Steve. A couple of great things that I've heard this week and over the past couple of weeks are that teachers are making connections with their students, that they are using some technologies they're a little bit afraid to, but that they are just taking that risk, stepping out, trying something new and getting super excited about it and realizing how it's making their lives easier. The second grade team over at Barrel Springs talking about the connections they're making with their students over the meetings that they've had with them or phone calls they've made home. I got to sit in a special ed meeting with parents and the teachers and the students, and they were so excited to see each other's faces after all this time. They were excited to share things with each other. So those are just a couple of things that I saw happening this week. Lots of fun. Keep at it, teachers. You guys are doing a great job, and just de-stress, breathe, and as Steve says, wash your hands.
And Jackie Perry from Summerwind, she shared that her team is doing absolutely great.
Hi, my name's Jackie Perry. I teach third grade over at Summerwind. And my team I feel like we're crushing it. It's just been so hard for us, but it's also been really fun. And we've had a lot of opportunities to get really creative. So I created a parent feedback for us to send to our parents to find out what was working for them and what wasn't working for them. And we found that they were saying the way we had our Google Classroom organized was just a little bit confusing. So instead of organizing all of our topics by subject, we organized our topics by the date. So all students would have to do is go into classwork, find today's date, and then complete those assignments they were listed in there. So that's been a big win. We've been doing scavenger hunts in our morning meetings. We have I Spies, like little sheets that are already done, Mad Libs. So we're finding lots of really fun ways to keep our students engaged, and we are loving it. So yeah, what else you guys got going? We'd love to hear some more ideas.
And we also heard from our other EdTech coach, Jerry Sloan. She talks about her point of view with working with teachers.
Hey, Palmdale School District teachers. My success story is all the wonderful skills that teachers are learning, the confidence they're gaining, and all the things they're trying with technology. I know our students are enjoying it, and teachers are just getting so many great skills, and they see the smiley faces on their Zoom meetings with their students, which is wonderful. Thanks so much, and good luck and good learning.
Kyle Johnson from Buena Vista is using gamification to keep his kids engaged during this remote learning time.
Hi, my name is Kyle Johnson, and I'm a third grade teacher. I came across this engagement strategy called Storyboard. I really wanted to gamify and make my assignments fun for students. Well, on Storyboard, you can create different backgrounds of different settings and choose animated or Bitmoji characters. Well, I thought, hey, that's cool. These storyboards would take way too long for them to create, and I would have to pay money. How about I create these storyboards myself with their favorite characters from their favorite books, TV shows, movies, or whatever it is. Then they just complete the questions with answers. So I only use these storyboards for my solar system unit only. For my first storyboard, I took the characters from the book Dogman and my own Bitmoji. My students really love the Dogman books. I also did another one of the Marvel Avengers and Thanos. I take images from online that show the surface of planets, then I put the characters on top so it becomes layered, and it looks like the characters are on the planet. To make it simple, I use multiple choice answers, and there has been more students turning in this work than anything else we have done so far with distance learning. I can't wait to see where this takes our students.
All right, and we have Josiah Neely over at Joshua Hills who talks about the impact of distance learning on his SDC class.
Hi, Mr. Neely here, 4th grade SDC from Joshua Hills, and I wanted to share one small thing about my Google Classroom and what my students have been enjoying. They have really been enjoying the different riddles that I have recorded for them and other things that I have put on my Google Classroom, but they've enjoyed watching me either draw out or talk about a riddle a few times a week, and they have enjoyed the challenge of trying to figure those out, and it's been a good time. I would recommend it.
Margaret H. has been really working on meeting the kids' social, emotional learning needs during this time?
So my bright spot or positive would be that I'm able to continue that practice of starting with the heart with my students, being able to conduct those community circles that we would normally do in the classroom in a virtual environment. So it allows my students to continue to building that trust that we started to create before all this happened. And it allows the students to have that voice and to know that they matter, and fulfills that sense of belonging that we all need. So just realizing that learning is all about making those connections, and really thinking about how I continue to make those connections with my students, even in this virtual environment.
All right. And then we have Jeremy Webster at Oak Tree, who is finding different ways to connect with the families online.
Good news. I've been successful using Zoom and Google Voice for texting and calling parents. I thought Zoom was more smooth and reliable than Google Meet.
Also got a submission from a couple, Diane and Alan Johns, Diane being an instructional coach in the district and Alan being a classroom teacher.
Good morning, Steve and Dan. We are here to share what good things are happening. It's Diane Johns and Alan Johns. One of the things that I've seen, and I've been fortunate enough when I talk to all my teacher candidates, are all the innovative ways that the teachers are doing their lessons through Zoom, through Google Meet, recording, Screencastify. It's been really enlightening for me to see all the different things that they are using.
And as a classroom teacher, I would say I'm getting what I think is an excellent amount of support or contributions from the kids. I'm averaging about 75 to 80% of the kids getting on my Zoom lessons. I've learned finally that I've got to condense those lessons down using a lot of video clips, employing Screencastify, just making the lessons shorter, more condensed, so you can maximize the teaching.
And one last thing, I have a lot of teachers that are getting out there and doing some home visits, and that's so great. So all the parents know that we are there for them. Have a good day. Bye.
So there are definitely a lot of good things going on in the district with our teachers, for sure. And one of those things is, teachers are starting to learn how to use some of these digital tools that we have with them, like Google Classroom. And one of the things that I want to sort of warn against is that while you get used to it, I don't want you to think that that's the end, that you've mastered it. Jerry Sloan, the other ed tech coach, said people get married to mastery. They think that once they know how to do something, that's all it can do. There's a gentleman named Jay Silver. He's creator of a little device called Makey Makey. Great maker space kind of device to take your thinking outside of the box. And he says, sometimes what we know gets in the way of what could be. We think we already know how something works, so we can't imagine how it could work any other way. We think we know how it's supposed to work, so we can't suppose all the things that could be possible. I want to encourage everybody, and Dan, you can maybe jump in on this, to not settle into a set way of thinking about how apps like Google Classroom are used. I want you to keep an open mind and think outside the box, because you might be using these devices to start your school year, or not these devices, but these programs to start your school year, just in case something else happens again.
And if you've ever, done any of your own research on any of these, you'll see that there are so many different ways to use different products in ways that you've never imagined. Whoever would have thought about using Google Slides is not as a presentation, but as a way of showing your thinking. And Steve did a webinar last week about using Google Slides for using manipulatives on a worksheet. Whoever would have thought that was possible? So I think the minute that you decide that this is the most it can do, I think you're limiting what you're using. You really need to keep an open mind and try to find new ways to do stuff.
Without a doubt, because I am floored all the time by what people are sharing online about how they are using some of these applications in ways that I could have never thought of on my own, because sometimes I just close off my own thinking and I can't see outside the box. And when someone shows me,
completely agree.
my
Yeah.
mind is blown.
Yeah,
We've looked at
absolutely.
probably quite a few Google Classrooms throughout the last few weeks and the last few years. We've created quite a few. And I think we may have learned a few things that might help organize your classroom and make it flow more efficiently for you and your students during this remote learning time.
Yeah, the big thing is, I think for right now, is try to keep everything down to one classroom. I know that's Steve and I had written down some ideas, and that's the big one for me right now. We didn't write that one down, but I helped out a teacher who her kids are going into 7 different classrooms to get their work done right now, and I was floored at trying to figure out where she was and how to get.
Yeah, that might
where
work
they
when
need to
you're
be.
sitting in a classroom together.
Exactly.
But when you're at
But the big
home,
one is making sure. Yeah, when you're at home though, make it easy, make it one, and name it. Give it a good class name and a good section, which would be your name. So that way it's clear whose class it is and what the class is.
right. And you might want to make sure, if you're tired of all those emails coming in, to turn off those assignment notifications in the stream. Make them and teach them to go to the classwork section to find it. So speaking of the classwork section, we highly recommend that you create topics by the name of the week. April 22nd through the 27th, whatever the week is.
And it was Jackie Perry, when she was talking with her interview earlier, that she groups everything by date, which I think is perfect. That way, I think she's very, very clear on that. Her kids know exactly where to go. Everything gets a topic, and for her, everything got a date. Also making sure that you're rearranging that classwork page. That way that you move the most current week to the top. I think that's a huge one as well.
Right. And with those ideas, that if you have the topics and you are creating materials that they're going to use, maybe it's a check-in form and they're going to use it every week, just go in and edit the topic, and it will then post into the topic for the next week. You don't have to recreate the assignment or the material. You just need to change the topic, and it will sort itself.
That includes using your Zoom links. You can just tell your kids one spot to go every single time.
And
Change link.
one of the things I would definitely not do is wait until the kids turn it in to go look at their work. That's the beautiful part about doing work with Google products in Google Classroom, is that you can go look at what the kids are doing at any time. Watch them do it live. Go use the to-do checklist, which is up on that hot dog. Some people call it the hamburger in the upper left, and then you click on it, and it shows a list of your classes, but there's also a to-do list. And it will tell you who's turned it in, work you've returned, who has only been assigned, if it's late, and so on. You can click on it and go right to that assignment without digging through your classroom to find those assignments.
It's always fun when you get to actually see the kids do the work. So jump in maybe while your kid's doing the work. And another one that I just thought of that is not on our list. If you notice in your classroom that no work has been assigned to particular students, but everyone else has, it's probably because that student hasn't accessed the work yet. So give them an opportunity, maybe remind them.
Right. They need to click on it and open it up. So we also see, in moving on from Google Classroom, we see a mindset sometimes of being very strict and rigid regarding schedules. I've seen schedules go out that say you're going to do math at this time, language arts at this time, science at this time, PE at this time, and so on. But, those schedules, when you're remote learning, don't mean a thing. Why are we being strict and rigid about the schedule? The other thing we shouldn't be strict and rigid about right now is grades. That's coming down from every place. Don't worry so much about the grades. Again, your feedback is far more important. You can make an own strict and rigid schedule for yourself. You might need to, because your kids have to do their work if you have children at home, and you need to schedule them so you can get your work done. That might be where you want to be strict and rigid. But as far as your own kids and schedule for your class, they're going to do the work on their time.
I remember now your kids are at the schedule of their parents, not us anymore. So, be flexible. Don't worry about the little things like the schedule. That's the easy part.
Yeah. So I encourage you, again, think outside the box in regards to content. If you've planned some content, cut it in half because you're probably giving too much work for them. Think about maybe sticking to a single standard that you want to focus on for a few days, and then you can get some assessment, provide some feedback on how they're doing on a single standard, then trying to throw everything at them at once. make sure that you're doing mostly asynchronous learning or materials for their learning, as opposed to that synchronous time that you do meet with them online.
I'd be really careful with using that synchronous time for full-on lessons. Like we said earlier, you will lose them. And it's really hard to sit there and rebound once you've lost all your kids.
I liked how some of the guest speakers talked about how they're doing fun things to keep them engaged, and they're doing scavenger hunts and things like that that make the kids want to come and meet with you while you're online.
Yeah, focus on the SEL. There's a great opportunity to make those connections with your kids.
So another thing that, I dare to bring up is the idea that we need to start creating some work boundaries. I admit I'm horrible. I'm awful at creating those boundaries. If I'm awake, if I'm awake in the middle of the night and I see a notification on my phone that I have an email, it might be 3:00 in the morning. I might pick it up and I might look at it. And I've been accused of, yes, you said you weren't going to do this, but I did respond at 3:30 in the morning to somebody's email that was sent at 12:30 a.m. Why are we doing that? I know it's a bad habit. I need to stop. We need to start working within our working hours. Just because you're home all day doesn't mean you're at work all day. I'm going to try to live by this. And
I see your hand up. Yes, I agree. I'm going to do the same.
All right. I need to work on some balance.
Well, and it's really hard too, because we, from our point of view, and I know this is a little bit beyond what we're talking about, but we want to help. That's just the nature that we have. And when we see that little email pop in, we know that someone's in need, so we want to help. And I know you guys as teachers want to help as well. And so set those boundaries, work on a balance of home life and work life. And just like you do in the classroom, if you need to take a break, go take a break. Sometimes we need it.
Yeah, teachers, you can actually go to the bathroom when you want to now. Live it up. Take a break. So speaking of balance and keeping things within the working hours, next week we have some upcoming professional development, some pop-up webinars. I am going to follow up on the slides thing that I did last week, and looking at slides as a material that you don't need to keep reposting these slides, but you can keep editing the slides behind the scenes and have it update for all of the kids. So you only have to do it one place. Dan, what do you got coming up?
So I actually have 2 sessions next week. I'm going to do one on Thursday, one on Friday. On Thursday, Steve showed you guys how to load Screencastify, how to do some basic stuff. I'm going to show you how do you do a lesson with Screencastify. And it's going to be basically what Steve just said, taking a standard, showing how to use Screencastify to express that standard as a lesson, and then shoot it to the kids. And then on Friday, I'm going to do a refresher from what Christine Jones did a few weeks ago during our week of PD. And I'm going to be doing another refresher on Info-Based Learn 360. One of the things we keep getting emails about are some of our students not being able to access some of the YouTube channels or YouTube videos that you guys are sending out. So the Info-Based Learn 360 is a great source for videos on your lessons.
So one of the things that we talk sometimes even during the day, and you said, you know what, you got to check out this product by Google. It was called Canvas, correct?
Yeah, Canvas is awesome.
Yeah, it's cost me about $75 because I decided to go buy a pen and a tablet that you can write on that will be able to draw on canvas.google.com. Is that correct?
I think it's actually canvas.apps.google, something like, it's a weird one. We'll put it off. So I'll have Steve put it in the description of the video.
It looks pretty cool.
I touched on earlier, but yeah, it's a whiteboard for Google, an interactive whiteboard for Google.
And that's why I bought the pen and the tablet, so I can actually write on that whiteboard. It should be pretty neat. Speaking of other great,
you can use your mouse.
Yeah, I can't draw with a mouse. They always try to run away. Great highlight, a great resource that you might want to check out. I sent an email out to the district earlier in the week, but Breakout EDU. So if you've ever done one of the Tech Tuesdays with us on a breakout or had us do them at a staff meeting, Breakout has a home version, and there's some free parts to it about how people at home can access this and how you can actually assign digital breakouts for your kids to keep their brain active. So we'll take a look at it. Okay.
And there, I didn't get a chance to watch yesterday's, but I really am interested what today's looks like. And that website is canvas.chrome.apps. I told you it was weird.
Right. And the breakout one is breakout one is breakoutedu.com, and check out what they have to do, especially for Breakout at Home. I know it talks about a paid version, but they do offer, if you create an account, they offer plenty of free breakouts that you can use with your kids. So you got anything else good for the order here today? A long show.
I am good. I get a quick thank you to Raul and Dennis for popping in and being able to take the time and talk to us, and for the teachers that joined us through Flipgrid.
Right.
Awesome.
If you want to learn more about Flipgrid, it's up on our website, palmdalesd.org/edtech. Melissa has done a pop-up webinar on how to get started with Flipgrid. Give it a look. If you have any questions, contact one of us. We'd be happy to walk you through it. It's an excellent resource. And so with that, we'd like to say have a great weekend. Find some balance. Disconnect for at least a day, maybe 2 would be wonderful, and spend some time by yourself or with your family. Have a great weekend.
Take it easy, guys.
Stay at home. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.